Oh Lord. Again. Again. Nothing new, nothing changed, same old shit.
Hello to all my residents and welcome if you are new to the area. I will be interviewing the special guest. Her name is Rubiat Fusigboye. She's on the Zoom. She is an incredible artist and graphic designer involved in branding, installations, and digital experiences. Working behind the scenes with her and just like getting to know her story, her creative process also just stood out to me, and I just knew I had to get her on this channel and do an interview with her. So, without further ado, we will be speaking on her creative journey, inspirations, and more. So, let's get into it. Tell us about your journey as an artist and how you got into graphic design.
So I actually had, a kind of interesting way into design.
Okay.
I started off studying more science-based topics. I think it was a very comfortable space for me because it's like there's always a correct answer.
Right.
And something to work towards, and you could kind of like, plan and just like keep working until you get the answer right. But I couldn't let go of the creativity and like what it would mean for me. So I impulsively applied to design college in my last year of high school, as
Okay.
well as a bunch of other schools. And when I got accepted, I decided, well, I guess that's where I'm going to go.
People our age struggle with like finding direction. So it's nice to hear that you like we're not the only ones out here. Like you also had a little mishap in
Yeah.
that field.
So I just decided to go for it, and I found a lot of like joy and happiness in it.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love that. What inspired you to explore digital design?
Seeing other people's creations and like how it made me feel,
Mm-hmm.
it have made me want to engage with it some more and like try and do it myself.
Also, like go into your multidisciplinary art rather than like sticking to one medium.
Yeah, I think it's just like I love to learn and I love to try new things.
Okay.
And I just like love going wherever I can like learn something new. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, it was just like an opportunity for, more engagement.
I think that answer really stands out. Myself as well. I'm also like struggling in where I am in art and like who I want to be, what kind of artist I am right now. So it's nice to know that you just are okay with being multiple fields of art, multiple types of art. It's not just like one thing, one specific thing. And yeah, I love that.
Thank you.
Um, how would you describe your artistic style?
That's a hard question. I feel like I don't really necessarily have an artistic style. I kind of just go based off of vibes a lot of the
Okay.
time.
We like vibes over here.
I'm more about the idea and the
Yeah.
work that has to be made rather than my own artistic style per se. So if the project calls for a very specific idea and a very specific style, it's not really about what I want from the project, but what the project really needs.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. I hear you on that. Yeah, what the project needs morph into what you need for that specific project. Like that makes a lot of sense. Your creative process like when working on a new project?
Kind of chaotic, but it always starts with some sort of inspiration.
Okay.
So I kind of like look and one kind of get the bearings down of what needs to be on the poster. So like usually I'm doing like event-based posters. So I'm like, okay, date, time, so on and so forth. And sometimes the amount of text that has to be on a poster really determines what the poster is going to look like.
Okay. It's kind of like a
Then I
travel and
think
tribulations.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I think more about like what the concept is, like what is the idea. So for instance, I did it was a talk and it was talking about your rental rights.
Really? That's a
So
really like broad topic.
yeah, but it's like important information, especially for students who've never really rented before.
Hmm.
Um, and I kind of come up with an idea or a concept, like a direction to take it in. So it's like rental rights, what, can immediately be looked at and understood that that's what they're trying to communicate, not necessarily just with the text, but with the vibes of the poster. And then also thinking about, I'm designing stuff for college. So how do most of the people here are young. How do
Definitely get
I
that attention from them.
exactly
Yeah.
keep with how what they want out of design?
Yeah, and you know what? As I'm literally in my school right now, sometimes I'm just in my own bubble and I don't want to speak on anything, and I'll see like posters here and there, and I will take a look at them, but because of how they are portrayed, sometimes I might just like back off, and then some I'll be like super interested right off the bat. So yeah, I definitely hear you. And like, what do they want from you?
Yeah.
What inspired you to start creating art, and who or what your early influences?
So I grew up in Nigeria.
Oh.
So a lot of my art kind of inspiration came from my aunt. So
Okay.
she is actually a really popular, at least in Nigeria, um, gallery owner.
Oh wow.
She makes her own art as well, and I spent a lot of time in her art gallery as a child.
Mm-hmm. It was like kind of like your vibes in there.
Yeah, and I think it just opened me to the idea of creativity more.
Okay, I love that.
And then the more I consume, the more I kind of like get inspired. So like on a day-to-day basis, like being on the internet, watching TV, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I just kept on getting, encouraged and inspired to do more and try more and see more things. I feel like it always feels like you have to limit yourself, but I'm more just like if something interests me, I'm gonna find a way to participate.
That is like a really good quote. I'm gonna hold on to that. If something interests you, then you should. Can you repeat that? Sorry.
If something interests me, I'm gonna try and find a way to participate.
Period. She's gonna find a way to participate. If you are interested in something, do not hold yourself back. I love that message. Thank you so much. But yes, back to having an artistic background already. I can also relate. Um, I have like artistic uncles, and my grandfather was an artist. He was a musician, but he also um, had like some drawing abilities. Like he kept his sketchbook, so I remember like opening it and like seeing his stuff, and being an adult now and looking at it now, I'm like, wow, like no wonder I'm in art school and figured it out finally. But yeah, I really like how you still give your aunt credit to this day. I love that. How has your style evolved over the years?
Um, I think I've gotten better at understanding color and shape and form,
Hmm.
um, and a bit better with typography. I feel like earlier in my design career, I was doing more copying, and I didn't really know how to get inspired by something. But so I have a design job that I've been working for the last couple of years. And I think constantly having to practice every single day really, help develop my skills and make them more stronger. Like getting feedback, knowing what looks good and what doesn't look good. I would know that
Right.
things were off, but I didn't know how to explain it. So now having the words and knowing how to fix those problems I saw really
Yeah.
helped
Yeah.
me.
Being a beginner, like I have like some skill, but I'm not fully where I want to be with those skills. I feel like more confident in it because I did the last painting and like I struggled seeing like skin tone, the color of my shirt, the color of the shirt that I'm painting. Like it's gone easier. especially with shape, is not to stare at whatever you're supposed to be painting or drawing. You just copy paste. I don't know. It's like something your brain like trains over time. It develops over time.
Yeah, it's kind of just like knowing what works and what doesn't work and
Yeah,
just kind of
yeah.
looking through.
Back to the trial and tribulations. Like, I don't think you you'll ever like not struggle. You know what I mean? There's always
Yeah.
gonna be like a learning curve somewhere. To like touch base on that question also, were there any pivotal moments or turning points in your career as your style has evolved?
If I were to think of one, I think about 2 years ago, I was
Okay.
given a task at work to make some International Women's Day postcards.
Well,
And
really? Okay. We can do, wow. I didn't like, I wouldn't have thought about that. Like, obviously, I barely know you, but yeah, like that's just like a really broad experience.
yeah. And I feel like I was lacking some confidence in my work. So kind
Mm-hmm.
of having it was like they didn't give me an aesthetic or anything. They just gave me the words that they wanted on the postcards and like kind of trusted my creative process and just gave me time to create.
Okay.
And I think for me, that amount of confidence that they had in me made me see myself differently. And with that project, I kind of had complete creative control. So it was six different postcards. So I had to come with
Mm-hmm.
six different unique concepts that I felt that still connected to the cards I was making. And I think for me, that was just like it was just like a trial. And I think I succeeded. And it kind of
Mm-hmm.
set me up to have more confidence in the future. So I
Yeah.
spend less time worrying about if my design is going to look good or not,
Yeah.
more knowing that it's going to be a process and maybe sometimes it'll take longer than others, but I more trust in myself to make something that looks good. And I think that kind of self reassurance helps because
Right.
like
That is a big, big key point right there.
anxiety is a thing that I think really stops people from being able to be creative, like fear of creating. Yeah, it helped me overcome that, and I think that set me up for good things in the future.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you have acknowledged that and you're able to speak on it now. Um, it's just like one of those things. Like, yeah, I can definitely see how that changed your views on who you are as a person and both an artist as well. Like those kind of go hand in hand. I feel like is their identity being an artist. I often find myself being an artist, and then when I'm ready, I can be like Alexia again, or I can be
Yeah.
a daughter or like an older cousin again. But like once I get being an artist out the way, then I can be who I really am outside of being an artist. So back to your career pivotal experience also shows you who you are like as an artist and who you are as a person because of how you reacted in both. Hold your ground because then you're becoming yourself. You're not just an artist. You're yourself as an artist. What role do you believe art plays in society?
I feel like it kind of helps people understand things. I think sometimes words are not enough
Right.
to really get to an emotional core of something. And sometimes like words are really powerful. Like my friend wrote me a poem recently, because graduating and like fear of change and all of that. And she like wrote me something and it made me feel better. But in and of itself, it was like the words were not just there to communicate, but they're art. It kind
Yeah.
of to your core in a way that sometimes you're not able to just on your own.
Being an influencer also slash artist, others might not see eye to eye with your views on how you make your art and like that's like a whole controversial thing. Like that's why so many revolutions happen because of art. Just another add-on to that as well. Like do you see your work addressing any social political issues or like cultural issues?
I think it has a very powerful force for good and for bad. Like when you're thinking about propaganda, that is an artist, that's a marketer
Oh,
coming
for
up with the,
sure.
I mean, depending on the kind of propaganda, but stuff like that. Like I recently watched Mickey 17
Okay.
that just came out. Try not to spoil it, but there is a person who's like a filmer for the leader,
Okay.
like constantly presenting that person in a good light, even when they're doing stupid and crazy things.
Wow.
And like
Yeah.
it takes a lot of talent to be able to do that. And that's art in of itself, but it's art for bad.
Mm-hmm.
And even when people are like calling for change or like calling for protest, like a designer's gonna have to design that poster
Right.
to encourage people to
Right.
come.
It's
Even
it's
if like
power at the end of the day.
it really is. So it's like I feel like I should be doing more to do
Okay.
that, but I wouldn't say that I'm doing anything right now.
It could make or break your career sometimes, depending on your fan base and like who is watching you and who agrees with you and who doesn't agree with you. And I totally understand that, and I don't think you should have any pressure on yourself about that. However, as of like a social media vibe, like an influencer, I do find myself posting more about things that are going on in the world. But at the end of the day, I'm an artist as well. So this topic is on art, and it's easier to just post a social media post than to make your own painting about that whole social media post and like what that topic is on, just in my opinion. Are there any specific artists, movements, or cultural elements that have greatly influenced your work?
I wouldn't say there were no.
She is her own inspiration.
I just feel like I don't consume enough
Okay.
like art mediums in that way that anything necessarily like any era or any specific thing influences my work.
Yeah. You're just like in your own lane. I vibe with that a lot. What project or piece of work are you most proud of and why?
Most recently, I worked on a website that this is the first project that I've done graphic design wise since I took a storytelling workshop.
Okay.
So I think for me, it is a project that kind of demonstrates how I've like taken time to process and understand the lesson and like get better as a creative.
Yeah.
So it's like basically the website is just like to encourage play and interactivity, and it just has like a bunch of interactive elements.
Wrapping up this interview, I have one question. Any advice to those who are interested in creating this type of art or any artists that may be up and coming?
Mm, it's okay to fail, and it's okay to like try, and things might not work out immediately, but that's okay. And you just kind of just, if you really truly want it, you're just gonna have to keep going for it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Ruby. Thank you so
You're
much
welcome.
for being a part of this. I am looking forward to seeing more of your art. Thank you for taking time of your day. I'm sure you're really busy and doing a lot. So I
This is
appreciate that. Thank you for joining the area today, sharing peace and love. And I'll see you in my next video. Do you want to say bye?
bye, everyone.